Welcome to Turnpike Sports. I'm Dave Weischadle, and as always, I'm joined by my producer and co-host, Doug Weischadle. Doug, what is up?
Well, another busy sports week.
I gotta tell you, can I just interject on that one? I am amazed at the weirdness of the Major League Baseball season right now. First off, I never know when a game is going to be postponed, so creating a fantasy team or making a sports bet is an adventure and a half. I mean, you having that problem too? I mean, I don't know even how to start doing a daily fantasy in Major League Baseball right now.
I've been doing fantasy teams, but it's been one of those things where I've had to make sure I have my phone next to me because,
absolutely.
With the fantasy sports operators now give you little push notices on your phone when a player is not starting.
I got one of those last night.
Or rearranging or he's out completely.
I got one when the game was postponed. So
that
was it. And also, and I can't remember a week where I saw two inside the park home runs. Cole Calhoun from the Diamondbacks did it one night. Christian Yelich from the Brewers did it another night. I mean, I can't remember a time where I saw two of those in 1 week.
I found it more interesting to see a doubleheader of 7-inning games.
That was bizarre, too. That was very
We're going
weird.
to see a lot. And the one thing I'm expecting is to see a lot more of this with the NFL because you're talking about bigger rosters than you are with the baseball teams. And it's just going to be – you're going to see people not starting 1 week to another because they may test positive.
It's strange.
It'll be interesting to see how you make a fantasy football team coming up in this season, and also whether or not both these leagues get through the season. Looks like the NBA is doing extremely well, and so is hockey.
Yeah, hockey. Boy, what great hockey, too. Boy,
playoff hockey is always good.
They are just going all out right now. It is so great. You know, we have a great show coming up. We have a By the Numbers segment. We also have a Turnpike Sports book report where we talk about what's going on in the sports books across the country. Before that, I have an interview with first-time author Mark Paul. He has an incredible Kentucky Derby story. It's called The Greatest Gambling Story Ever Told, a true tale of three gamblers, the Kentucky Derby, and the Mexican Cartel. I think the title of that book says it all.
The title's really, really long, but it's really, really descriptive of exactly what the story is.
It's an absolutely amazing story. You're going to want to stick around for that.
Got a loaded show.
I got a loaded show, but like I said, it's been a busy week, so let's take a trip down the Turnpike. Today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
Exit 1.
Normally I have one story per exit, but with considering what PointsBet has been doing across the country, I had to wrap up a couple different stories and major moves into one exit here.
I think they had one of the best weeks ever for a sports book. That's just my opinion. I mean, people
and probably,
could call me crazy, but
probably by the time this airs, they may do one or two more. Who knows?
Probably more. Yeah.
But PointsBet did a whole bunch of different deals here. They did an online casino deal in New Jersey with Twin River. They're going to be doing their online casino.
Yeah.
Also in Jersey.
But is that a done deal, though? Isn't it? See, it's contingent upon Twin River getting Bally's Casino, right?
Yeah, and the acquisition of Bally's really depends upon the new Caesars or Eldorado or whatever they're calling it. Caesars Entertainment, I believe, is the new name. There was something in the approval process by the Division of Gaming Enforcement about if Caesars goes ahead and does other improvements to the Bally's property, they don't have to sell it.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly whether or not this is actually going to happen. It looks like it is because it actually makes sense to sell that off.
I'm guessing.
Right now they're about 40% of the market in Atlantic City.
Sure.
So you really don't want that anyway. But PointsBet also was in the news for New Jersey in terms of share of the market share. I'm flipping around the words there. Market share. In the second quarter, PointsBet had 8.7% of the entire market share of New Jersey sports betting.
Mm-hmm.
That's up from 5.7% in the first quarter.
Okay.
So they're increasing their market share, but given what their moves are in other states, it's becoming obvious that while they have established themselves in New Jersey, I think other states may be taking the forefront in their efforts to expand, and their focus may be shifting outside of Jersey. Given the fact that these two huge deals they did, one with the Indiana Pacers, National Basketball Association Indiana Pacers, they became the official sports gaming partner of the Pacers. The one interesting fact of this deal, and it's the typical sports betting deal with data and logos and all that stuff, but they are the very first sports book that will have their brand displayed on the apron.
Yeah, I saw that. That's the area between the scoring desk and the bench, right?
It's
right around that area.
The out of bounds line, and yeah.
I got to tell you, I got to look around. I saw that, I read it, and it never occurred to me that they're the first ones that are going to be doing it. So I have to really. I see signs for sports books all around, but I guess I never saw signs there. So they're going to be the first to be on the apron.
So every time you see an Indiana Pacer or whoever they're playing in Indiana gets ready to check back in, you may see a PointsBet sitting underneath their butt where they're sitting. Also, in the Bankers Life Fieldhouse where the Pacers play, you're going to see PointsBet logos on phone charging stations, along the scorer's table, too.
Oh, okay.
So there's going to have really a good amount of PointsBet presence in the Indiana Pacers home court there. Also, they're going to be all over the digital platforms for the Pacers. Now you move over to Colorado.
Everything's happening in Colorado. Boy, I am so impressed with Colorado. Every week there's a new deal coming out of Colorado.
Well, Colorado, again, Colorado launched May 1st in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And they have come out of the gate strong. They've maintained it over the last couple of months. They've increased it. And what happened in Colorado with PointsBet, they did a deal with...
they did a deal with everyone.
Well, they did a deal with every professional team in the state. They did a deal with the... Well, no, they didn't do...
Not baseball, I don't think. Not yet.
They did the Denver Nuggets,
yep,
Colorado Avalanche, Colorado Mammoth.
Never heard of them.
The National Lacrosse League.
Lacrosse team, huh? Okay.
I did not know they had a lacrosse team in.
I didn't even know you can bet on lacrosse. I guess you can.
Well, now you can.
I guess so. Yeah.
But it's only the PLL, the Premier Lacrosse League.
Okay.
So I don't know if the National Lacrosse League is on the list of approved sporting events for betting in Colorado, but they might be. I don't know. I'd have to double check that.
That's what the Colorado Mammoth are part of.
And then you have the Home Arena Pepsi Center,
right.
And this is not just for sports betting. This is for retail and online sports betting. This is for daily fantasy. This is for an online casino. This is for the free-to-play games. And this is, every time you see these deals, I've noticed this, you're always going to see one little wrinkle for each deal. And for PointsBet, the owners of all these teams, it's one company, Cranky Sports and Entertainment.
So one company owns all these teams that you just mentioned, right?
And the arena.
And the arena.
And they also own Altitude TV and Altitude Sports Radio, which are two channels out there that handle all the Colorado sports.
All right.
PointsBet will have they are the official sports betting partner of both the TV and the radio parts, and they will have PointsBet data integration on both of those. So you're going to see, you know how you see ESPN saying Caesars. You're going to have Altitude doing PointsBet.
Cool.
So it's cool to see that, and it's nice to see another one getting out there. This may be the first step for something else. You may see somebody else copycat this in Illinois or one of the other states. I haven't seen it yet, so congratulations to doing something unique to PointsBet.
I'm very impressed with PointsBet. I mean, they're making some great, smart deals.
Exit 2.
Okay, we're going to talk about an eSports simulation that I never thought I'd actually talk about.
An eSports simulator?
Yeah.
Why not just play the game?
Well, that's why this is.
I don't get this. What?
This is an atypical eSports simulator because you're not doing eSports.
I don't get this. What? Go ahead. Continue.
The company doing this eSports simulator is the PC Building Simulator. It's a simulator where on the computer you build a computer or an IT infrastructure.
All right.
So you're not playing games. Right off the bat, you know you're not playing a game. You're building a computer. You're building a infrastructure. Now, under what they call the eSports expansion, by the way, creative name there, but straight ahead for what they're doing here, you are not playing any eSports. You're not shooting goals. You're not shooting people. You're actually not even playing against other people. The PC Building Simulator eSports expansion kit makes you the IT manager of an esports team. You have to make sure the players' rigs are all in tip-top shape.
All right.
The computers themselves. You have to fix technical issues that pop up during the tournaments. And you have to outfit the players' PCs with the right gear to keep the sponsors happy.
So is this for players or is this for companies that are managing players? I don't understand. Why would the player want to do this?
You ever see those baseball simulators where you're the manager?
Yeah,
the front office,
sure.
Where you're managing the team and everything
around it. Is this almost like a fantasy
This is almost like
eSports
a business
kind of
simulator.
Stuff?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, this is like a business simulator.
All right.
And it runs every angle of like say you're the owner of an esports team. You got to make sure everything works right.
Okay.
And as the manager, the IT manager for this simulator, you got to make sure your team runs the best possible. So when they do play their tournaments in the simulation, everything goes smoothly.
So what is this? Is this a game itself?
It's a game itself.
Okay. So I'm the first thing when you explained it like that, I was thinking there used to be an old game. I'm pretty sure it's still being played. It's called Sim City. Where
That's
you
exactly
build your
right
city
there.
and you do all the functions of a city, and it's an actual game itself. So this esports simulator, it's not a training device. It's actually kind of a game itself.
Take that idea from SimCity, the city planner.
Yeah.
You're the esports team planner.
All right.
And the better you are at managing the team, the bigger your budget gets to actually bring in more equipment and more players, better players.
I get it.
You know, and also,
I got to be honest with you, I wasn't getting it the first part, the first time you said it, but okay, it's sinking in a little bit.
It's atypical.
Yeah,
and it's nice to see something like that out there too, because I always loved playing SimCity. It was always interesting to build a city.
Oh, so that was a good analogy that I just made.
You did.
Oh, okay, all right.
For a non-tech guy, yes.
All right. There you go, SimCity.
Exit 3.
One of the outcomes of the COVID virus for baseball was that the minor league season was canceled.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these teams don't know what to do with themselves right now, especially with the stadiums being empty. A couple of them have turned to golf.
Golf. Okay.
And we're going to talk about three teams in particular because they seem to be at the forefront of this.
All right.
The Portland Sea Dogs is the first one we're going to talk about real quick here. They're the minor league team of the Boston Red Sox.
Sure.
They have built a 9-hole golf course at Hadlock Field, which is where they play.
Wow. I'm surprised they can get 9 holes in that.
It's not a regulation.
Is that a regulation 9-hole kind of thing?
No.
Okay.
They took
like a pitch and putt?
A little bit bigger than that. A little bit bigger. They have, let's see, they took about a week to design the layout of the holes, the distances, the slopes of the different greens and fairways, all that. And they came up with a really nice 9-hole golf course complete with signage and scorecards from sponsors. And they are selling tickets for people to play 9 holes at the field at $30 a person.
That's not a bad price. I got to tell you, that's got to tear up the field, though. My God.
Well, they redesigned the fields. They redesigned the fields.
I mean, do they have I'm pretty sure they probably don't have water hazards or anything like that. How about sand traps? Or they have stuff like that in there? Or
Some of the sand traps might be the base coach boxes over there.
Oh, okay.
But the first weekend they had July 9th to the 12th. They had 220 spots available for sale, and they sold them all out in one day.
Wow, that's great.
So a lot of people.
Well, people are dying to get out.
Yeah,
they got some fresh
what else are you
air.
gonna do in Maine at the time? A lot of the casinos still aren't open up there yet, and there's not a lot of things to do. You can't go to a Sea Dogs game.
And golf is a good game to social distance with.
I don't know about
you're not
9
too
holes
close.
in the stadium, but if you keep it spread out, yeah.
You can keep 6 feet away from people.
Yep. Next team, the Indianapolis Indians. I think you can figure out who they're the minor league team of there. They also turned their stadium into a golf course. They haven't done this yet. They're going to be doing it in a weekend in August 28th to the 30th. Victory Field will turn into the Links at Victory Field.
All right.
9-hole golf course as usual.
Boy,
that seems to be the thing.
They must fit perfectly for 9 holes, huh?
Depending on how you set up the holes.
I guess, yeah. Because when you said that, I was thinking, it must be like a big driving range.
Probably a lot of dog legs.
I guess, yeah.
So, but they are doing $39 for 9 holes. That's the individual ticket. $140 for a foursome for 9 holes. And for groups of 10 or more, $500 per hour. So it looks like everyone's doing certain things. I mean, you also have 9 elevated tee boxes in this, so they're higher up than the rest of the fairways. They're going to be spaced throughout the field. 9 greens located on the baseball diamond.
Okay.
So all the greens are in the center of the field.
All right. Okay.
I'm dying to see how this actually
I know.
works.
I hope there are pictures of it on the internet because I'd love to see how this is laid out.
5 of the 9 tees are going to be in right and left field. 2 are placed in the upper deck.
Okay.
So that's going to be interesting. And holes 8 and 9 are going to be situated in this new Elements Financial Club right behind home plate.
Okay.
So I'm curious to see how they tee off from the upper deck holes.
Yeah.
So
sounds like it'd be a fun day out.
It'll be different.
Yeah.
And the last team that's making news with this sort of changeover is doing golf, but not real golf.
Okay. What are they doing?
The Pensacola Blue Wahoos.
Okay. I don't even know who they're
partially owned by a pro golfer.
Okay. Well,
Bubba Watson.
Bubba Watson owns. All right. Okay.
They are not doing typical golf.
So what are they doing?
9-hole disc golf. Frisbees.
Oh, okay. That's what it's called now?
Yes.
Disc golf?
Yes.
Okay. I've heard of Frisbee golf.
Did
They
this
just call it Frisbee golf.
They rolled it out back in May 15th, and they've had as many as 30 multiplayer teams out on a single day. So they're getting a lot of traffic. It's a little different than regular golf. I would have thought Bubba Watson, being a golfer, would actually do golf.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that he's the one actually not doing traditional golf.
Which is actually nice, It's a little different.
Yeah.
So,
it's good to see the fields being used. I mean, they're just sitting vacant right now.
When you don't have games being played and you're not getting the support from Major League Baseball to actually run the league.
Yeah,
you got to do something to actually keep those things going.
I've said it time and time again. Minor league teams have the greatest promotions. They use their stadiums in the best way, and good for them doing this.
Well, again, it's going to be interesting to see which teams come back after the pandemic is done.
Yeah.
Exit 4.
Okay, I always love that commercial. Was it the Prudential Insurance Get a Piece of the Rock?
Okay. I think I know where you're going because this has been all over the news.
Well, The Rock has gotten his piece of the XFL.
Okay, yep. That's where I figured you were going with it.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson has teamed up with his ex-wife. And
it's good they can work together. Good for him.
Well, and she's actually one of his co-producers for all his movies too.
Good. Okay.
But and also a management company to buy the bankrupt XFL football league for $15 million. He probably could have pulled that out of his pocket.
I mean, I'm surprised the number was that low. I mean, I guess he's getting all the names of the team, all the logos, and I guess he could assume all the contracts. Is that what's being worked out right now?
See, that's what's going on right now. The league, once the bankruptcy stuff is all approved and the sale is all approved by the bankruptcy court, they will own the teams, the names, everything associated with the XFL, except the TV contracts.
Okay, so, I guess if they file for bankruptcy, there has to be something in the contracts that say, all the contracts regarding TV and media are void. I would guess that would be it.
A lot of them had buyout clauses.
Yeah,
see, what the situation was when XFL 2.0 launched. I guess that's what you call it. Vince McMahon's over the second launch of XFL. They had sold the broadcast rights to Fox and CBS and wherever else they were being shown. And once they went into bankruptcy, those contracts did become null and void at the urgence of the networks. Mm-hmm. Now, with this going on in terms of the relaunch, I guess a relaunch,
reboot.
Yeah, reboot. Another one. Redbird Capital, which is run by the Goldman Sachs partner Jerry Cardinale, and Danny Garcia, which is Johnson's ex-wife, mm-hmm. and Dwayne Johnson. They all got together. They put the money in. They're buying it.
When you told me that, I wasn't even thinking of the betting element of it.
Well, the DraftKings element is still there.
Okay.
So I know when the AAF went bankrupt, they got rid of their app too. That was the betting app. That was one of the things that was the most valuable part of the league. Mm-hmm. But XFL, with their deal with DraftKings, doing the sports lines and everything else, we'll see exactly what happens, who picks it up, and what kind of deal, because a lot of people are saying they're not going to be able to sell the broadcast rights again. They're going to have to do some kind of brokered time-buy kind of situation.
Well, I'm curious. I mean, they have The Rock behind them now. That's got to carry some cachet to it, and some. I'd be very interested to see the reboot of the XFL. So
I'd be very interested too, but I don't know if any. I know the broadcasters are interested. Fox has already expressed interest. CBS. They're even talking about one dark horse in all this, which is DAZN.
Okay, yeah.
The DAZN has been trying to get global rights to NFL games. This might be a way DAZN gets into the global rights business for football. Yeah. So good luck with the reboot of XFL, or how many times they've been doing this. XFL 3.0.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
And today's trip down the Turnpike was brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store, available in over 95 cities across North America. Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using our promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
And to get in touch with Turnpike Sports, 609-512-5910 is our call and text line. At Turnpike Sports is our handle for Facebook and Twitter. At Turnpike Sports Radio is our Instagram handle. Email is at info@turnpikesportsradio.com. Don't forget you can subscribe to the audio version of the show through Pandora Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartMedia, iTunes, and the radio.com mobile app. And you can also watch us on your smart TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Head on over to turnpikesports.net and just start watching our channel on your TV.
Stick around, because later on we have a By the Numbers segment. We also have a Turnpike Sports book report where we talk about what's going on in the sports books across the country. But after this, I am talking with first-time author Mark Paul about his new book, The Greatest Gambling Story Ever Told, A True Tale of Three Gamblers, the Kentucky Derby, and the Mexican Cartel. It's a great book, and it's a great interview, so stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports. We'll get back to the show in a few moments, but I just wanted to take some time and tell everyone about Bean Genius, the smart specialty coffee subscription service. Bean Genius sells freshly roasted coffee from some of the best independent coffee roasters in the country. They feature over 2,000 specialty coffee blends, all at your fingertips at beangenius.com. Here's how it works. Head on over to beangenius.com and take their palate profiler test to find out what coffee best fits your taste. Then select from a variety of subscription plans. Every subscription comes with free shipping, and delivery can even be scheduled for once or twice each month. And based upon your review of each coffee blend you try, Bean Genius actually learns your individual taste preferences and then suggests future coffee blends for you. And now you can get 10% off your Bean Genius subscription when you use our promo code PIKE at checkout. Bean Genius offers a variety of subscription plans to suit any coffee lover's needs. Subscribe with Bean Genius today and start enjoying some of the best tasting coffee around. And save 10% off your coffee plan with promo code PIKE.
Psst. Yeah, you. Come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore. Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and lots more we can't mention here. Use offer code SPICE404. They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more. Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
Today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get Debt-Free Now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-515-1558. 800-515-1558.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. The Kentucky Derby is coming up, and it's usually a time when people start making plans on how they're going to watch the race. But I can guarantee you those plans are not going to top the plans our next guest had one year in the 1980s for the Kentucky Derby. Mark Paul is the author of the new book entitled The Greatest Gambling Story Ever Told, a true tale of three gamblers, the Kentucky Derby, and the Mexican Cartel, and it's an amazing story. And to tell us all about it, we have Mark Paul on the line now. Mark, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Dave. How are you?
Oh, great. Mark, I read your book from cover to cover, and at no point did I not feel nervous for you guys. Without giving away the great ending in the book, can you tell us a little bit about what your book is about?
Absolutely, Dave. It's a true story that happened to me in 1988, and for a couple of reasons, namely that perhaps some of the money wasn't claimed with the IRS, and the fact that we actually collected our money, I should say we were in a position to collect our money from the Mexican cartel. I thought maybe it was prudent not to tell the story for about 3 decades, but finally I got to the point where I said, I got to tell this story. Okay, well, I was going to say, what happened is that we were semi-professional horse players. You know, we had real jobs too, like commercial real estate brokers, but the fact is that we were going to the track every day, and it was an amazing time to be a horse player at the racetrack. We were members of the turf club. You had to, make a reservation to get in, and the place was packed, and there were beautiful women and hats, and it was a scene at the track. And there was this filly in 1987 named Winning Colors, and she was winning all of her races dominantly. And she was owned by Eugene Klein, who owned the San Diego Chargers professional football team. And he was getting on in years. He'd had a heart attack. We saw an interview, and they asked me, said, Mr. Klein, you own this horse. Winning Colors is winning all of her races by, open legs, and you also own a professional football team. Mr. Klein, if you could win the Super Bowl or you could win the Kentucky Derby, which would you take? He says, oh, I would definitely take the Derby. At the time, there's 26 professional football teams. One of them's going to win, and there's 40,000 horses born every year. It's so much harder to win the Derby. I'd win the Derby. And so my buddy and I go, you know what? This guy's had a heart attack. He's a billionaire. His dream in life is to win the Kentucky Derby. I bet maybe he puts this filly in against the boys in the Derby. That's, mind you, Dave, this is 6 months before the race. Mm-hmm. So we say, all right, what can we get in the futures? What odds can we find? And we see she's only 12-1 in Las Vegas. And we keep searching. We find out she's 50-1 in this little honky racetrack down in Tijuana called Agua Caliente. It's 50-1. So we go down and we bet our asses off on her at 51 in Mexico, if you can believe that.
What struck me from reading the book and even listening to the story you just told is your love and knowledge of the horse racing business. What got you interested in the horse racing business and the behind-the-scenes aspect of the sport?
Oh, man. I first went to the track, I was 14 years old. And a lot of horse players will tell you this. When I walked in to Santa Anita at 14 years old, that was it. That was the greatest place I'd ever seen. I just fell in love with horse racing. The whole idea that you could pick up past performances and study it and try to figure out who the winners are going to be, and then the excitement of, you're outdoors and the horses and the people and the screaming, and it's such a beautiful sport. And then when you can put money on it at the same time, I was totally hooked. And I've heard that from a lot of horse players. It's kind of like a gene. You get exposed to the racetrack, you either have it or you either fall in love with it or it's not going to work for you. But for me, that was it.
Reading the book, and the center of the story is Winning Colors, and Winning Colors is a filly, and they don't really do well in the Kentucky Derby. It's very rare that they actually win. What did you and your friend Dino see in Winning Colors that made you really think, this horse has a shot?
Well, we were probably stupid at the time and didn't know it. I mean, the fact is that a filly, a female, had only won the Derby twice in 114 years. And, these crazy gamblers we think that this filly can win. But she was unique in that her nickname was the Amazon. She weighed nearly 1,200 pounds. It was kind of funny. In the Derby, everybody thought, oh, well, this little petite filly can't go against these ginormous, big, stud colts. And the fact is that she was the biggest horse in the race, and she outweighed almost every other horse in the race by 200 pounds. So, we thought that she had a real chance to this. And when we found out that, they were going to offer us 50-1 on her, we bet her. But mind you, we bet on her like 6 months before the race. But the problem really came, Dave, in that as we got closer to the race, we started hearing these really scary, very sketchy stories about Agua Caliente in Tijuana, that the track was going to go out of business. So we started reading all about it, and quickly we found out that the racetrack was owned by a prominent member of the cartel. And we're like, oh, crap, this is not good. You mean to tell us that, we had wound up, my buddy Dino and our other associate, Big Bernie, and wound up betting about $25,000 on her to win the Derby. We had $1,250,000 to collect, which is a lot of money, by the way, in 1988. And we're thinking now, oh, great, if we win, we've got to go to Tijuana and collect $1,250,000 from the Mexican cartel. Wouldn't it be easier for them just to, not pay us or kill us, or pay us and rob us in the parking lot on the way out? So, usually when you get these kind of horse stories, they're kind of Disney-like, and the horse wins and everybody's cheering and everybody gets married and everybody's happy. This is not that kind of story because when she goes in the Derby, and I don't mind telling you that she wins the Derby, because that's not the end of the story. That's really when the story really heats up, is now my buddies and I have to go down to TJ and try to collect $1 million from the cartel, and it was scarier than you can imagine because we had found out there was this journalist, a guy named his nickname was the Cat, El Gato, and he was the most famous journalist in all of Mexico, well, I should say, or at least in northern Mexico, and he was writing negative stories about the owner of the racetrack. And a month before our derby, his offices, the journalist's offices, are machine gunned in broad daylight, and he survives. And this crazy guy, instead of like backing off, digs in deeper and starts writing more stories about the owner of the racetrack. And now 2 weeks before the Kentucky Derby, he writes another big story, and he is murdered. He's shotgunned to death in broad daylight. And the guys that shot him are arrested, and they turn out the guys that shot the journalist are the head of security for the Agua Caliente racetrack, and the racetrack's personal bodyguard are arrested for the murder. So now we know that not only is the racetrack owned by suspected cartel guys, that even somebody just writes a bad article in the newspaper winds up dead. What the hell is he going to do to guys that try to win $1 million from him, on the Derby? So we're scared to death. But and the story in the book goes on in detail about
yeah, absolutely. Well, let me
what
ask
we
you
had to do. I certainly won't tell anymore.
Well, when you read that story about the death of the reporter, what was going through your head? Was there talk about, what? Even if we win, should we not go down and collect? What was going through you and Dino's head when you saw that report about the reporter?
Yeah, that definitely crossed our mind. So we're immediately trying to figure out. We're like, okay, we'll get like a Brinks truck. We'll get an armored truck, and then we check that out. And we can bring an armored truck, but we're not allowed to have armed guards. And then we thought, well, we'll get an armed guards in Tijuana to bring it up for us. We're saying that's probably like paying somebody to rob you.
Yeah.
It was so what we did, and I think this is my favorite scene in the book, and a lot of people's, is that we thought, well, okay, we'll be really smart. What we'll do is we'll go down and we'll actually watch the Kentucky Derby physically in Tijuana the day of the Derby, because there's going to be like probably 6,000 people in the race and sports book. They're not going to kill us right in broad daylight with 6,000 people watching us. That'll be smart. So we go down there, and if you can imagine being in a little teeny racetrack in Tijuana on a little teeny black and white television, watching the Kentucky Derby on a 16-inch television, knowing that you have $1,250,000 on the line. And we went down there. Winning Colors does win the Derby, but like I say, that's not giving away the end of the story. And we go to the windows and we tell them, pay us, please. And they're like, no, we're not paying you today. Come back another day. We're like, no way we're coming back in another day. I mean, you want us to come back like on a Tuesday morning when nobody's here? I don't think so. So it was a really scary time. But, like all gamblers, we wanted to get our damn money.
Yeah. That was the most interesting thing for the book for me, was when you and Dino were trying to think of ways, if we won this, how are we going to get the money out? You even talked about using a guy called 20% Tim, which was very interesting. I mean, how long did those conversations between you and Dino last? I mean, were they weeks on end? Did you call each other every week and say, how are we going to do this?
I don't know that they didn't last too long, because we usually did it like at a Mexican bar drinking margaritas or something. we thought that we would, we thought we had it figured out, but we didn't.
Like I said, when I was reading the book, I was nervous for you guys. Number one, whether they were going to pay off the bet. Number two, how are you going to get your winnings out? But I was really concerned for your friend Big Bernie, who had even a bigger bet than you guys on Winning Color. I think Big Bernie had the most interesting plan on what to do if he won. What was Big Bernie's plan, and did you ever consider doing what he was doing with regard to the winnings?
Yeah, Big Bernie's plan, right at that time in 1988, they were evolving really into sports gambling, particularly in Tijuana at the track. And his plan was if the horse should win, and mind you, Affiliate won once in 114 years, and by the way, has not won since. To show you how difficult it really was. His plan was to deposit the money, just leave the money at the racetrack in a sports gambling account and not even try to bring the money back into the United States. But he was planning on continuing his life to become a rich man in Mexico and stay down there. We wanted to get the money and get the hell out. I wasn't planning on spending a lot of time in Tijuana.
Give us a picture of what this racetrack looked like. I mean, when you say racetrack, I think of, I'm here in New Jersey. We have a lot of racetracks here. You're in California. You have the beautiful racetracks there. I was trying to picture what the racetrack in Tijuana looked like. Give us a mental picture of what this racetrack looked like.
Well, Dave, that's what's kind of fun about the book, too, is that, today everything's, it's great that things are becoming legal and all that, but it's also becoming kind of sterilized.
Yeah.
And this was not like that. Albert Caliente was built, I believe, somewhere around like 1920. And it was like Caesar's Palace before there was Caesar's Palace. It was magnificent and soaring ceilings, and they had a casino and a spa and a hotel, and it was amazing, but it had fallen on very, very hard times. And I always say, I don't know if you guys remember that there was a really colorful movie called Planet of the Apes, and they go back to New York City, and it's 200 years later, and you see the Statue of Liberty, but it's 3/4 covered in sand, and the whole city is wiped out. That's a little like what Albert Caliente was. It was a shell of its former self. So you would walk through this cavernous, magnificent casino. You can imagine walking through like Caesar's Palace, but it's 200 years later, and it looks like it's been bombed out in Beirut or something. So they have smoke-filled rooms, a lot of wild drinking going on, and hot tequila pouring girls running around, and you could drink the tequila off the girls' arms and stomachs or whatever, as long as you tipped her well. And it was a wild, kind of lawless kind of place. And I think a lot of gamblers kind of appreciate just reading about, the way things were at one time, because it wasn't just the Wild West; it was the wild Mexican Wild West.
Now, as you said, you did win the bet, and I'm not going to give away the ending part because it's an absolutely fantastic story about how you actually got your winnings. But I will ask, whose idea was it to get those bodyguards that you brought down? And did you know you were in trouble when you first set eyes on those bodyguards? I mean, did you think you were in trouble? Because I was thinking, man, these guys are going to get rolled.
Yeah, well, we got the brilliant idea when we had to go collect the money, and we were not able to bring our own Brink security armed guards with us. A buddy of mine said, I know these guys, they're professional fighters, and they're really tough. And we thought, well, it's got to be good to go down with 6 guys. It's got to be better than 2, and at least we'll have some. We just call them the muscle, and we hired these guys, but we'd never seen them. And when they came to help us go collect the money, we didn't realize that they were like early Asian MFF fighters. And I think that the biggest guy was about 145 pounds. They were tough as hell, by the way. I wouldn't want to mess with them. But let's just say they weren't going to intimidate anybody, so we could take all the muscle and put them in one car with us. So the muscle wasn't such a good idea.
I like the fact I knew you were in trouble going down there because every time you went down there, you got auto insurance. So I was like, boy, there's no safe part of this trip for you. I thought that was hilarious.
It's true. I just figured, I was actually more afraid, worried about trying to collect the money. I was more worried about what would happen after we had the money and got to the parking lot. I just thought that's probably when we're the most vulnerable.
It is a great story, and your book has a ton of endorsements. How has the reception been for the book?
I think I'm a first-time author, and it's really been amazing. I've sold nearly 20,000 copies. Everybody tells me horse racing's dead, and it's not. It's just absolutely taken off. It's been It's called The Greatest Gambling Story Ever Told, and it's been number one in 10 separate Amazon categories. And what's been surprising to me is, I kind of expected to do well at number one in horse racing, but it's also the number one book in the country in horse racing, sports gambling, and a bunch of other things like sports biographies, organized crime, white-collar crime. It's just really taken off. So it's really been fun. Also on my website, if I can, markpaulauthor.com, there's a great 57-second video, a book trailer video, and it's a really fun. Just click on that, and you'll be able to get the video. I posted the video up on Facebook, and I've had like 300,000 downloads of it. So maybe horse racing and gambling isn't dead. We just needed a good story.
Well, what's next for the book? I mean, make a great movie or a TV show. What's next for the book?
Well, I live in L.A., and again, I'm a first-time author. I just didn't know what the hell I was doing. But I wrote the manuscript, and I gave it to some movie guys, because I'm in L.A., and there's more movie guys than anybody else here. Mm-hmm. And within, 10 days, I had optioned the book to some the guys that did Lone Survivor, very big movie guys. So the book has actually been optioned for a possible Netflix or other TV series, or a movie. I sure hope that happens. With COVID, I don't know, things maybe be a little slower, but I think we got a good chance. I think it would be a really fun, colorful TV series. I sure hope that happens.
Mark, we're running out of time, but can you tell people how to get a copy of The Greatest Gambling Story Ever Told, A True Tale of Three Gamblers, the Kentucky Derby, and the Mexican Cartel?
Yes, it's so simple to find. I mean, if you just go to my website, markpaulauthor.com, you can see it everywhere, but it's literally everywhere. It's on Amazon. It's an ebook. It's a print book. It's a hard copy book. It's also a really cool audio book. If you like, consuming podcasts, you probably like audiobooks. It's on audible.com. So just go to my website. It's also on Apple Books. You really can't miss it. The Greatest Gambling Story Ever Told. And I thank you, Dave, for having me on.
Mark Paul, author of The Greatest Gambling Story Ever Told, A True Tale of Three Gamblers, the Kentucky Derby, and the Mexican Cartel. Thanks a lot for coming on and telling us about it. It's absolutely an amazing, incredible story, and everyone should pick up a copy of the book.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Stay tuned for more Turnpike Sports.
We like to think that we live in a nice, safe neighborhood. The truth is that a burglary occurs every 13 seconds, and homes without a security system have a 300% greater chance of getting broken into. How many homes in your neighborhood were robbed yesterday? You need to start protecting your home and family today. Call now to get state-of-the-art protection. To keep your family and property safe, call the number on your screen now. Representatives are standing by to assist you.
And By the Numbers is sponsored by Play Sugar House Online Casino and Sportsbook in New Jersey. Sign up at playsugarhouse.com/Pike and get your first deposit match of up to $250. Enjoy the casino experience online. Play Sugar House offers over 400 games online, slots, table games, even bingo. It's like being in a casino without leaving your home. That's playsugarhouse.com/Pike to get your first deposit match of up to $250 today. Must be 21 years or older and physically present in New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit 800gambler.org.
Okay, we're going to do a little different type of By the Numbers segment. And
okay, I was not informed of this. Okay, so
normally I'd give you a couple different numbers.
Now I'm on my heels. All right, okay. What are we doing different?
We're doing one topic, but a bunch of numbers.
Okay.
Instead of a bunch of numbers with different topics, we have one topic with a bunch of numbers attached to it.
Oh, okay. All right. Are you going to tell me the topic? You're going to have to tell me the topic.
Yeah, I have to tell you the topic.
Okay.
The Kraken.
Seattle's new hockey team.
Which has been, and pardon this pun, making waves.
Oh, okay. That's very good. No, first off, I like the name. A lot of people don't like the name. I don't know why. I think someone on Twitter, responded to someone who didn't like the name. You must be one of those guys that like the baseball teams that are named after the Sox. So, so if you
I don't know.
if you like baseball teams named after Sox, you should like a hockey team named after a mythical beast.
Well,
that's my feeling.
I saw some people make fun of the name by saying taken from the old 80s crappy movie Clash of the Titans.
Oh, we should have did a drop, Release the Kraken. Actually, that has
Everyone's
two
doing
different
that.
drops because it has two different Clash of the Titan movies. So
yeah, and the first one I thought was good. That remake, that Clash and Wrath were terrible.
Okay, they must be doing those drops when they're being introduced at the stadium next year.
They did the drops everywhere.
They have to do that.
Everyone's doing the drops, and we're still about 16, 17, 18 months away from their first actual puck drop.
Oh, when is there? I just assumed they're going to be playing next year.
No, 2021.
2021. Well, hey, Doug, it's like, what is that, 5 months until 2021?
Well, we're in 2020 season, no matter what you want to say.
All
we're
right.
still in the 2020 season.
Yeah.
But we're about 18 months, a year and a half away, maybe a little less. They have become the best-selling NHL expansion identity.
I told you it was a good name.
They have sold 4 times as much merchandise as the Vegas Golden Knights when they launched.
Wow.
I have to admit, I love the color scheme that they came up with.
They have some nice sweaters, I'll tell you that. Very nice.
The one thing I wasn't sure of, and I've watched it a couple times, when they did the name reveal, they had that little video.
I saw it on Twitter. Is that the one you're talking about? Is that the same one?
Yeah,
right,
it's like in some harbor.
I thought it was. I thought it looked nice. I mean, it was.
They did a nice
really
job.
filmed
with it.
nice.
Yeah, but when I first saw it, I was like, okay, I see where they're going with it. But,
I like it.
But they've actually had some really good reaction to what they've done since the launch. Seattle ranks in the top 5 selling teams in all sports across Fanatics right now.
Wow, that's pretty good.
So they're getting some attention.
The puck hasn't dropped yet, and they're already a success. Look at that.
Well, I just hope that people go to the games and not just get the apparel.
Yeah, well, do both.
Yeah, they have.
I hope they get to go to the games the way we're going now with this pandemic. Who knows?
Well, that maybe that'll give them some more creativity along the way there. Maybe they'll sell more merchandise. They have 2 of the top 3 selling products, too.
What is that? Well, they're jerseys, right?
Jerseys, hats.
Okay.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. So that's all across Fanatics. And I didn't know this, but the full price the ownership group paid to have the expansion team was $650 million. Just to get the rights for an expansion team. That was awarded in 2018, by the way. Wow. It's taken this long to get at least the name out.
Well, I kind of remember there were there were rumblings about it. Everyone was speculating on the name for about a year now. So,
well, I remember they were having issues with the word, I think, sockeyes or something, or something else.
There was a whole bunch of possibilities for the name.
They even had a trademark dispute with an author who in her books had a fictional team by the name that they were going to try and choose.
Really?
I want to say it's the Sockeyes, but I don't think so. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they had a trademark issue with that. They never followed up on it.
So have they sold any season tickets yet or anything like that? Or?
Well, here, I'll go through some other numbers I found.
Okay.
Since within 24 hours of that name reveal that they did,
all right,
they had 20 million website views.
Wow. Okay.
So a lot of people were watching.
Well, I checked it out.
And quite honestly, I think they launched it at the right. They didn't launch it. They revealed the name at the right time because it's during the pandemic.
Sure,
everyone was starved for sports.
Yeah, no, any sports news was good news.
157% increase in social media dealing with the Kraken in the same 24-hour time span after the reveal. They had 32,000 season ticket deposits.
Wow, that's great. Good for them.
And it'll be interesting to see exactly how they continue doing this. They had a 35% increase in season ticket waitlist people.
Wow, great. Hey, good.
They now have over 51,000 people on the wait list for tickets.
Sounds great. Good.
And
good for Seattle.
Speaking of the release, the Kraken drop that you mentioned.
Okay, really? They're going to do something like that?
That's what they call the e-commerce store.
Oh, all right.
They have over 13,000 orders already on the e-commerce store for their apparel, their little goodies, little products, whatever they're selling on there. So Seattle's off to a good start, regardless if they're playing or not, or even if they've actually played one game. They're actually doing incredibly well in terms of revenue right off the bat. So that was a little different by the numbers. I figured, nice, short, and sweet.
Yeah, very interesting. Though, hey, stick around because my favorite part is coming up, the Turnpike Sports Book Report, where we talk about what's going on in the sports books across the country. Right after this on Turnpike Sports.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. If your employer doesn't supply health care coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private health care is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. To get the coverage you need, call the number on the screen now.
Turnpike Sports Book Report.
And the Turnpike Sports Book Report is brought to you by BorgataSports.com. Your favorite casino is now your favorite sports book, available anywhere in New Jersey. BorgataSports.com. Sign up at BorgataSports.com using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E, and you get a risk-free bet up to $300 and 20 bonus dollars at BorgataCasino.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Okay, let's start off with Penn National Barstool Sportsbook. However you want to say the brand, Penn National's Barstool Sportsbook. Everybody's talking about when it's going to launch. They had originally said it was going to launch sometime in August. But one of the other issues that everyone's talking about is where is it going to launch? Mm-hmm. So two things here. Penn National has announced that it's not going to launch in August this month. It's going to be launching in September. And lo and behold, Penn National, it's going to launch in Pennsylvania first.
Well, that makes sense. It's in the name.
Exactly.
Penn National.
And they have...
I'm assuming they're saying September. Are they before football?
They're hoping before football.
Okay.
So, but they also plan on more states by the first quarter of 2021. So Pennsylvania may be getting a Barstool Sportsbook before a lot of other places.
Yeah, well, hey, we're in New Jersey. I can't wait for it in New Jersey.
And they said there's going to be some interesting features to the app.
All right.
They're going to have a traveling wallet. Don't ask me what that means, but I'm assuming it means it goes between fantasy and sports betting.
Okay.
And they're going to have a bet slip. So if you're not in the legal jurisdiction, you can actually make your bet slip and then go play. When you get into the jurisdiction, you can place it.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, I like that.
And they're going to have exclusive betting options, including Barstool personalities.
Okay, sounds good.
And they're anticipating Michigan and New Jersey to be next on the
list.
But
Yay.
We'll see exactly what happens. Michigan still hasn't launched online betting yet, so I don't know. I would assume Jersey before Michigan, but
yeah, we'll see.
But
I've seen weirder things when it comes to betting, so who knows?
It could even be this next state, Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado's another big state.
Right now, the Score Bet received authorization to go live.
All right.
So the Score is now coming to Colorado. They have a partnership with Jacobs Entertainment, which operates the Gilpin Casino and the Lodge Casino.
I like the Score. Even before they got their sports book, I always had that on my phone because that was great sports news, and you get all your sporting stats. You get your scores. It's just absolutely an amazing Amazing app.
It's a very intuitive app, especially if you love fantasy sports, too.
Even if you're not betting with the Score app is something you kind of need to keep track of all your games. So that's why I love the Score app by itself. I haven't tried the Score Bet yet.
No, I haven't either. No. So, but the Score has always maintained a really good product out there.
Oh, it's great.
It's actually supposedly integrated seamlessly, the betting with the stats that they produce and the news and everything else. So they always do a good job there.
Yeah.
Staying in Colorado, we have Rod Smith. Remember the wide receiver from the Broncos?
Okay.
The Super Bowl winning wide receiver, I should say, from the Broncos. He is now the chief brand ambassador of Denver Sports Betting.
What's with Denver sports betting in general, or is that some kind of...
It's a sports betting website. It's a sports betting analysis website.
Okay.
DenverSportsBetting.com.
Right. I thought it was all of Denver sports betting.
No, that's... Well, it's,
but
it's
Denver sports betting
name,
is...
Yes.
Denver sports betting is a
company.
website. Is a company. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They do sports betting and analytics.
Oh, okay. It's a website. Yeah.
And as the chief brand ambassador, he will be involved in marketing content for Denver sports betting, including... I like this one. Private dinners with fans who win the company's various competitions.
Oh, okay.
So he's going to be the face. I guess he's also going to press the flesh with a lot of their customers.
Yeah.
So that's a little different.
I think it is. Hey, it's maybe more companies will do that with ex-athletes.
Well, we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in Colorado. Colorado always seems to come up with something unique.
I like Colorado.
I mentioned
really
Exit
like
One at the beginning, with what they're doing with PointsBet and everything. So even Betfred is out there in Colorado, too, with the Broncos.
Yep.
Over in Nevada, we have Zen Sports. They have acquired an option to purchase the Big Wheel Casino in Lovelock, Nevada, and also
I've never heard of Lovelock, Nevada.
Neither have I. And they have an additional option to operate the sportsbook at Baldini Sports Casino in Reno. So what that enables Zen Sports to do is now to have their mobile sports betting platform get approved by the gaming regulators in Nevada. So you may see another mobile sports betting option being brought to the bettors in Nevada.
Sounds good.
Over in Michigan, we have the website MichiganSharp.com projecting that the state could bring in as much as $400 million in total first-year sports betting revenue.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's a big state.
Now,
and they have lots of casinos.
The one thing I didn't like about this little news story I picked up here, they kept referring to it as revenue. They're talking about handle.
All right.
And that's what $400 million is. They're anticipating $33 million in revenue to the state.
Mm-hmm.
So they're anticipating a big windfall. And, of course, we had Blood Horse reporting some of the horse racing numbers out there.
It's nice to see them racing again. Horse racing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the month of July, more than $1 billion in handle in the United States.
Wow. Boy, did that come back in a big way.
That's up 16% from July of last year. And they made mention of the fact that between June and July of this year, almost 100 more tracks opened up. I think it was like 300 in June and almost 400 in July had opened up. So there was more horse racing. And you also had the Haskell and Meadowlands Pace, which went on the same day. So there was a lot of big betting there.
Well, and we still have the Kentucky Derby coming up, so I bet you those numbers are going to go up.
Those numbers are going to keep going up. And the last little note, I thought this was hilarious. DC Sports Betting reported their handle from launch to August 3rd.
Okay, when was their launch and when?
May 30th.
May 30th, okay.
And August 3rd.
August 3rd, okay.
They had a handle of $1.2 million.
Well, to be fair, there wasn't a lot of sports going on.
There also wasn't a lot of options.
Yeah.
Gambit DC, which is run by Intralot. A lot of people didn't like the pricing on it.
Okay.
That number is going to change dramatically now that the William Hill Sportsbook is open, too.
Yeah, I think everything is going to adjust in DC. They're new at it, and they're going to fix it, and, it's going to be great, I think.
It's going to be interesting to see who launches next. And also, you have right next to it, Virginia is still in the mix for doing sports betting and gambling expansions. And, Maryland may actually come into play at some point, too. So, D.C. better get their act together, too, because they didn't do too well in their first, 2 months in operation.
Well, it's been a tough couple of months.
They kept delaying it and delaying it and testing it and whatever else they were doing, but they did a lot of work on it. They got it launched. Not a great result, but again, it's new.
Hey, it's growing. It's new. I'm sure it'll do better.
Yeah.
And that'll do it for us. If you going out to one of the newly reopened casinos or newly reopened sports books, wear a mask and stay safe out there. We'll talk to you next time on the Turnpike.